I found it amusing that Ryan Day mentioned that when he was headed to the field, he got a pat on the back from somebody. Go, coach, go get him 63-0 today. And he's like, just let us get a first down first. Let's like this, and we're all accustomed to it in Ohio State Buckeye Nation that the expectations are ridiculous. But this isn't easy. Yeah, Rutgers is Rutgers, but still. There are plenty of really good teams across America who would be beating Rutgers by a couple touchdowns that, the expectations. And then they go on the road and there's probably going to be one of those games that an inferior foe, and it might be this week, gives Ohio State a bit of a test that none of us are expecting.
Yeah, I'm not convinced it's going to be Michigan State, but I'm convinced that test is coming. And when today's comments, when you're whatever and one in Big Ten play and have, all of the success, I mean, it's easy to just sit there and say, well, you guys are just going to, roll out of bed at the Blackwell and show up and put on your pads and your helmets and we're just going to give you 45 to start with, and let's see what you can get from 45. So, yeah, it takes a lot of work to get to that point, and we certainly have seen teams that have, for Ohio State that have been much more talented than their opponents struggle at times. And I think that challenge is going to be coming here at some point. We all can talk about how the Rutgers game felt kind of wonky and weird and everything else, and they still win that game by 39. And to your comment and to Ryan Day's comment, somebody at the Blackwell slaps him on the back, is like, all right, 63-0. So, it's part of, it's part of the job, part of the problem. That's why these coaches are richly compensated in terms of what it is that they do. It's why within, that they age in dog years in terms of how they look, because it's just the amount of stress that's on them. But, it is what it is.
Steve, we'll hit you up next. Let's get to this fake punt controversy. This is amusing. This is good stuff, Steve. So you can set up the situation for anybody out there. I can't imagine that didn't come across this and see it or at least read about it.
The joke was particularly on me, as these guys know. The fourth quarter, when these games are blowouts, it's usually a leisurely stroll for some of us from the press box over to get set up in the interview room, and that's exactly what I was doing. I left upstairs with like 11 minutes to go in the game, just enjoying the breeze and walking over and walking up to the room and getting set up. There are two flat screen televisions in the interview room. One of them is on the in-house camera that feeds the Jumbotron, and the other is the game broadcast. And I look up on one of them, and Greg Schiano and Ryan Day are like, jawing at one another. And I'm like, what the hell is going on out there? Kind of like that old Vince Lombardi. What's going on out there? And come to find out that on a fourth down, the punter rolled out, and they tried to come from his left side and overran the play. And there was nobody on his right side. And mind you, Ohio State's up 49-10, a 39-point lead at this point. And he just takes off running. Well, Aaron Cruikshank, the veteran punt returner from Rutgers, took a special umbrage to this. It kind of violates 10 of the 12 unwritten rules in football. And so I don't know what he was thinking, but he chucks Mirko out of bounds on the Ohio State sideline, and all hell breaks loose. As you can imagine, all the players surround him and are jawing, and a couple of them get right up in his grill and blah, 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 blah. You blah, 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 yeah, blah, 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 blah. And they kind of get it calmed down and whatever. And Greg Schiano came from 50 yards across the field, as he said, to get his player out of there. But I think he also came to give Ryan Day a piece of his mind, because the expletives were flying, and Day wasn't having it. He was going right back at him with some angry words back at Schiano, and the officials got everybody separated. They played the last 6 or 7 minutes of the game without incident, thank God, and or without any plays being made. I think everyone at that point said, let's just get the hell out of here. And when the game was over, the two coaches met at midfield, had what appeared to be a cordial discussion. And Day explained to Shiano that A, Jesse Mirko is from Australia. 2, he didn't understand that there was an unwritten rule, perhaps, in this great game of college football, that when you're up 39 points, you do not run the ball on a punt. And C, that they hope that this never, ever, 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 ever happens again. If you're up that big and you line up to punt, you need to punt the ball. So that was kind of the long and short of it. Mountain kind of made out of a molehill. And I don't think, had there not been a problem on the sideline, that that the coaches would have ended up nose to nose. I think that they would have had some words afterward, and it would have been one-sided Shiano today. But I think after the game, Day got his point across that was not intentional, was not called by the coaches, and kind of illustrates again. You have a special teams coordinator. Why isn't this pounded home that under no uncertain terms are you to run the football? You need to punt this ball, unless, they're right here where you can't get it off, you're going to get it blocked. So at any rate, that was kind of what I saw. All in retrospect, I even had to grab the phone and call somebody who's watching at home. It's like, what just happened? And they clued me in, and, just kind of one of those things. Boys will be boys, I guess.
To hell with these unwritten rules. I mean, if you're going to try and block, then I'm going to run. You know what? If Rutgers wanted to get out of there, then sit back, just play the game out and be done with it. When you sit there and you load yourself up to try and block it, what's Jesse Mirko supposed to do? Sit there and let them come in there and injure him, potentially? Screw them. I mean, no. I punt and run the ball every single time that they do that. If you're going to put up resistance, then I'm going to put up resistance in the other direction. If they're going to sit there and just go back into punt safe or something like that, then that's fine. You punt the ball 100%. This is not an Australia thing. This is not a I didn't know better thing. This is, there's a level of self-preservation there, because they're going to come in and they're already probably hurting over getting a paddling on their butts in terms of what the score is. I mean, they're going to come in with reckless abandon, and you're going to risk getting hurt in garbage time of the Rutgers game? No, run the ball, toughen up, stop us if you can stop us. It was a cheap shot by Cruikshank, and tough titty.
I did like Day was asked about it afterwards, of course, and he said he immediately asked Jesse Mirko, like, "What are you doing? What did you see?" And Mirko explained everything to him, and Day's like, "We'll talk on Monday." Like, maybe there's this idea of you didn't need to do it there, but you train these guys and you coach them up so that they're not thinking all the time, that they can just play. Just as we were talking about with the Jim Knowles thing, Jesse Mirko was just out there playing, and anybody that sees a wide lane, I mean, are you asking Dallin Hayden to take a knee when he's got a 50-yard head start on everybody? It's like, they just revert to their training, which is what you want your guys to do. And you don't necessarily train them, I don't think, for the instance that Mirko shouldn't have run. Now maybe he has been trained at, in terms of Day saying, you know what, just go ahead and punt, or maybe, I don't know, do you just pick up the first down and take a knee? Like, what is the best course of action there? And because if you punt and you see like all of this room, they're going to question your awareness. And so I think it was Mirko reverting to his training, and I can't have a problem with it, because they're trying to block the punt. And if one team is playing, the other team should get to play too.
I'll throw in, honestly, long term, I think it plays to Ohio State's advantage that it worked out that way, because now anybody who watches their tape knows that this punter is perfectly capable of pulling that play off, and it's going to slow down the rush. People are going to have to play punt safe, and could help with coverage as well on the punt. So, long term, I think this is going to work well in Ohio State's advantage, that teams aren't going to come after Mirko, particularly, who would, what rugby punter has ever rolled out to his left side? I don't understand where they thought they were going to get that punt had they not seen him punt at all on tape, because he never rolls to his left. That was kind of a goofy one to me. But yeah, I see all sides of it, and understand, what everybody was thinking and where everybody was coming from. And, this was a game that I think if you had put it on the first 3 quarters would probably be enough to put you to sleep. And then, everybody woke up there in the middle of the 4th quarter, finally, when we had a little bit of fight going on out there. So, it got a little interesting for a couple minutes.
I'll just throw in one of my favorite stats of the season so far. As I've tweeted out, Jesse Mirko now has 22 yards rushing, and he has allowed 0 punt return yards on the season. No punt returns allowed for the Buckeyes this year. So just a quirky little number out there. See how long it can hold up.
That's pretty good. This is one of the few things in which my mind has been changed in the last, 20, 25 years, because I grew up in a very traditional way from a sports standpoint that, yes, you respect all these rules. Although I did get pulled off the field and reamed as a high school sophomore because I stole 2 bases in a 19-1 game. Hit a single. We're up 19-1. I didn't know I can steal second easy.
Little eager beavery out there, were you, huh, Mark? Figuring,
I got grabbed by the shoulder and ripped off the field and just reamed. What did I know? I'm 16 years old. Although I'd watch Major League Baseball every day of my life. But anyway, to Kevin's point, well, not exactly to Kevin's point, because he was much more specific to this situation. These are big boys. And yes, I would approach it differently. I would go the whole route of, we're up 35-0. We're going to be kind to you. We're going to run off tackle. But I have no issue with the thought that, you know what, this is big boy football. This is the big time. Is it more insulting to know that this team is going to score a zillion points and run it up to 63-0? Or is it more insulting that they don't even respect us to the point that they're going to run off tackle and hold it down to 35-0 and treat us like a bunch of 3rd graders for a full quarter and a half? Which is more insulting? So, we've seen crazy comebacks in college football, and in no way is Rutgers going to come back against Ohio State. We see this among the middling teams typically that don't play a whole lot of defense, and crazy things can happen. But we do see it. So if there's a guarantee from the other team that you're not going to come back from 31 down and beat us, then we'll guarantee that, we'll stop scoring. But, I don't think that goes in both directions.